Okay, let's begin. Welcome everyone to the Jira Service Management Review webinar. In November 2020, Atlassian have announced that Jira Service Desk will be rebranded to Jira Service Management. This change mainly happened on server, where various use cases and features and even UI changes were introduced. 7 months have passed, and so we are holding this webinar, where we can evaluate how's it going with Jira Service Management and what exactly are the changes that have happened, along with what is planned for JSM in the future. First, some introductions. My name is Kamil Ber, I come from Prague, and I have been working for Idelco for 2 years. As a part of my recent duties, I have administered the Atlassian toolset for Vodafone Czech Republic for almost 2 years, while holding webinars and writing articles about Atlassian tools for Idelco. My specialty and focus is cleaning up cluttered Jiras and Confluences and setting usage standards and governance to stabilize Atlassian applications. Along with me here is Manuel Patin. Manuel, could you please take a minute to introduce yourself?
I will try to do my utmost best. So Manuel, I've been at Idelco since 2017, and I'm not the techie guy of service, and then today I'm more the assistant of Camille to answer questions that you can put into the chat, which I will do and try my utmost best. If it would be more technical, Camille will take care of it. And I'm based in Belgium. I see several that listed already that I know. So welcome, everybody.
Okay, thank you, Manuel. Our roles today will be twofold. I will be presenting today's webinar, and Manuel, as he said, will try to answer the questions that you, the viewers, will have during the talk. If they are more technical based, during the pauses, I will try to answer them myself. First, we will go over what exactly Jira Service Management is. Then we will focus on each of the modules that come with JSM, like Apps Genie, Help, and Insight. What do they do, and what are Atlassian's plans with it? As a next point, we'll explore what are the differences between Jira Service Management and Jira Service Desk. We'll also go over the UI changes and features that came along with JSM and compare it to the UI we know from Data Center and Server. Then, we will have a walkthrough of the 3 cloud tiers of JSM: Standard, Premium, and Enterprise. And what does each of them bring? We'll also take a look at the JSM roadmap. However, we do not want this to be a one-way lecture, but more of a workshop. What this means is that if you have any questions, comments, or experiences, please write them down in chat. We'll answer throughout the course. That said, it has been proven that the more you ask and the more you engage, the more will you get from the webinar. So don't hesitate and let us know if you have something in your mind during the course, please. The webinar should take somewhere around 40 to 60 minutes the most, based on the feedback and the questions we will receive. But first of all, a question for you. Why are you here? Why have you decided to attend this webinar about Jira Service Management? Let us know in the chat, please.
Okay, go ahead, Camille. We see one coming up, which is I want to track better project management for a startup company. It's one of the inputs.
All right. Okay. So as IT services are a part of project management to an extent, and JSM is exactly what's the tool for ITSM, we hope that we'll shed some light on how to do it in Jira Service Management. Also, Kostas is writing that he's working with Jira usually during SAT and UAT sessions. So, well, testing isn't as much covered by JSM. However, there are some parts that mainly the operation teams working on bugs may be interested in, mainly in connection to Apps Genie and Help. So there might be some insights in that way too. All right, so let's move on. All right, so what exactly is JSM and what is the difference between it and Jira Service Desk? Well, first of all, Jira Service Management is what Jira Service Desk was. Most of you already know Jira Service Desk. For those that don't, Jira Service Desk was an application to manage incidents, requests, problems, and changes. In 2016, Jira Service Desk gained the ITIL certification from Pink Elephant in these 4 areas. Jira Service Management, however, brings some extra features to the existing Jira Service Desk platform. And that's what's very distinctive of JSM, that it seems not to be based on itself being a standalone app like Jira Service Desk, but in integrating several apps together, as we have already mentioned. Those are Insight, Help, and Apps Genie. More on that later. However, it's not a new product. So just like Jira Core was recently rebranded to Jira Work Management, Jira Service Desk was rebranded to Jira Service Management. So it's just a continuation of an already successful and an existing product of Atlassian. It's also mostly cloud-based. While Jira Service Management is how the new Jira Service Desk is called on server and data center, you won't get Apps Genie on data center as a part of the license because you'll have to manually buy it, which goes hand in hand with Atlassian's focus on cloud development. However, one of the updates or the upsides on JSM for data center is that it gets Mindville Insight, sometimes known as Riata Insight or just Insight for free, from version 4.15 and even ported backwards. We have also already mentioned that JSM builds not only on Jira Service Desk, but on 3 other apps or extensions. These are Apps Genie, Help, and Insight. Some of you are most likely already familiar with some of these names, so let's review them in detail. The difference this time is that we will not rely on general explanations or marketing language, which we know is a problem for customers because it's fairly hard to imagine what exactly the tool does, what can it help with. But instead, we will try to do an explain like I'm 5 for each of these tools. Now, I'm sure most of you have heard somewhere that Apps Genie is an incident management platform and other fairly vague terms. But then you could ask, what exactly is Jira Service Management? And I also use it to manage incidents. And you would be exactly right. So what is the difference? What value does Apps Genie add? First, what Apps Genie really does is that it listens to monitoring systems notifications and sends only the important ones to the responsible teams based on various filtering rules regarding these alerts. Second, the responsible on-call teams are also set in Apps Genie, and they can receive their Apps Genie notifications through various ways, through voicemail, email, SMS, or push messages. If there is no response, it's also possible to escalate the alert to someone else. Finally, Apps Genie synchronizes with other tools that service teams use, like status page for alert communication or Slack and Teams for internal chats, which means that you don't have to note the same thing in multiple software applications, but Apps Genie sends information to all of these other platforms itself. You can also not only manage Apps Genie major incidents from Jira, you can also work with Jira issues from Apps Genie. So there is transparency in the process. What are major incidents? We'll cover up next. But for the moment, if we really simplify what is Apps Genie good for and why should anyone use it, we would say that it's an extension of your service desk for environments when you really need to catch and solve problems fast, where you have on-call teams and a strict uptime, for example, for your services. The catching part is done via the alerts, digests, and notifications by Genie, and the solve problems part is left to your team, who will be notified ASAP because of the on-call schedule, and again, Genie notifications. Help is the second tool that Atlassian acquired in May 2020 to use in connection with Jira Service Management. Prior to its acquisition by Atlassian, Help was used to gather questions from users on Slack and Microsoft Teams and sending them to a dedicated chat channel to have everything in one place. It did so by adding, for example, a help emoji to the message, or to create a ticket through the messaging app's message functions. These tickets were then also available on a web interface, like a web application provided by Help. However, when Atlassian acquired Help, it built on its integration with Jira Service Management. There were some existing integrations that Help had, the other being with Zendesk, I believe. What that meant was that when a question was posted in chat and it was marked with a help emoji or a message action, the question would then get synchronized with a newly created ticket in Jira. So whatever then happened to the ticket, for example, someone wrote a reply in it, it synchronized with the chat thread. And vice versa, when someone replied in chat, the reply was recorded in the Jira ticket. This integration is, as we said, currently available for Slack and Microsoft Teams. Atlassian also has a free Confluence Help app available that automatically inserts relevant knowledge base pages to chat questions, marked with the help emoji to save time. In the future, Atlassian also promises to expand Help to Apps Genie and to Trello. Again, if we also simplify, why should someone use Help with Jira Service Management? It's mainly when you don't want your users to leave chat to get support. We're making their work easier by not having to learn about another tool like Jira, for example. So everything happens in chat. You can enable Help by subscribing to it and creating a connection between Jira Service Management and Help. You can get a brief overview of how Help works on the following link. We will be sending it later after the webinar. Finally, the third app or the third extension of JSM is Insight. Insight is an app developed by the company Riada, later called Mindville, a Swedish company now a part of Atlassian. Insight is an asset management solution, or in other words, an application used to track various types of objects, or so-called assets. As most of Atlassian's user base are IT or development teams, Insight usually serves as a configuration database solution, or a CMDB, which means that it tracks various laptops, mobile phones, servers, databases, network clusters, and so on. However, there are many other use cases for Insight. It can be, for example, used by HR to track employee data, by facility management to track offices, buildings, equipment, or by sales teams to track customers and leads. Insight accommodates various use cases. So in case of its use as a CMDB or an asset management solution, you can also use the service to automatically import cloud-based servers from Amazon Web Services, Azure, or Google Cloud, or import data from your existing system management software like Microsoft System Center Configuration Manager or Device42. Also, there is an app called Insight Discovery that works as an enterprise network scanning solution with automated asset and configuration item discovery service and dependency mapping. The number of importable data and platforms has been steadily growing, and it's entirely possible that Mindville/Atlassian will release new ones as time comes. However, its most significant benefit over other CMDB systems is that it connects the objects to Jira, the Jira tickets. This way, for example, on a help desk, the IT team creates an incident. They can then connect this incident to an Insight object. What this means is that when you open this object in Insight, you will see all tickets and other Jira issues that are relevant to that object, and can, for example, track how faulty your server is, how many times it was in repair, or who is the person responsible for it. It essentially creates an, let's say, incident / request / change history to a configuration item, and that is its main strength in connection with JSM. The main use case for Insight is if you need to use a large database of objects of any kind, those may be employees, IT assets, sales leads, and so on, and either store them in the Atlassian ecosystem or connect them to Jira issues. So no matter if this is a configuration database, an HR database, or a CRM, Insight is made to do exactly that. Its only downside is that it's available only in Jira Service Management Cloud Premium and Enterprise tiers, and then on Data Center. Sales for Server ended on February 2nd, and Insight is not natively available in Jira Service Management Cloud Free or Cloud Standard. So let's sum up the 4 main use cases for Jira Service Management. The first one is what Jira Service Desk did best, having a help desk for either external customers or internal users. The second one, with Apps Genie, means that if you have critical environments, you can leverage the alert refinement feature of Apps Genie to send only relevant alerts to your Jira issues, and use the on-call schedules to define who is available and when, and of course, who should receive the alerts. The help integration will enable you to raise and solve tickets and, of course, synchronize them with Jira from communication tools like MS Teams or Slack. And finally, the Insight integration will make it possible to have a database of interconnected objects in Jira, such as a configuration database, the objects from which are also possible to connect to Jira issues. Before we move on, I'd like to ask if there are any questions regarding Jira Service Management as a whole, or any of its features and apps.
You are so clear, Camille, you can continue, I think. No questions.
All right, so let's move on. Okay, so our next topic is how JSM differs between its cloud and on-premise deployments. First of all, let's go over the UI UX changes between server, data center, and cloud first. For the comparison, I'm comparing server version 4.14 and cloud premium as it looked on May 2021. Queues and raise request options have been lumped onto the top of the project navigation bar, same with the reports and knowledge base parts, which have moved to a single tab called Knowledge. Finally, channels, invite team, and the list of customers have moved to channels and people. In case of Cloud Premium or Enterprise, an Insight tab will be created in the top navigation bar. There is another improvement when you create an issue in a Jira Service Management project. On server or data center, you were able to choose the issue type and then the request type in 2 different fields, and only if you added the customer request type field on the create issue screen. On cloud, you can now go to the request type straight away. Also, there has been significant changes in the user interface for projects created from an IT service management template. It's one of the templates for JSM projects. So when you create a project from this template, what happens is that 3 new parts will appear. As some of you may know, ITSM projects have 6 issue types created, most importantly incidents, problems, service requests, and changes, on which the request types that a customer can raise are based. Atlassian has then decided to create 4 new queue types named after them. What this means is that not only you will have access to regular queues in the queues section, but you will also have an option to create so-called sub-queues, perhaps, under each of the 4 queues marked in red. Service requests, incidents, problems, and changes. Another new button are services, which brings up a whole new possibility in JSM. The services section allows you to link an incident or change with a service. Now, what exactly is a service in JSM? So, for the purposes of JSM, a service is an object that delivers some kind of value to customers. Let's say an accounting system, an eShop, or an SSO service. You can add these objects in the services menu, and from there you can add, for example, a responder team from Genie, or a repository from a distributed version control system, like let's say Bitbucket or Jenkins. To link in with these services better and provide all the relevant information in Jira. Also, you can choose a tier of sorts of how critical is this service and who are the change approver board. What this means exactly is that if you connect a service to an incident, you can see the responsible team for the service in the ticket, or when a change is rolled out by the developers, you see which repository did it come from. Another interesting feature in Cloud is that you can create a so-called major incident, which we already talked about. A major incident is an Genie object that alerts the team responsible for said service. You can link regular JSM incidents to it, including other Jira issues. So what this means is that in Genie, you will have a major incident that links all the Jira tickets and services and teams together to this one point in your Atlassian stack. Now, Jira assumes that you will want to connect Genie, and that's what the next search section, the alerts and on-call, is about. On one of the previous slides, we saw that there's 2 new buttons in the navigational bar, alerts and on-call. So we'll explore them right now. The alert section links you straight away to Genie, where you see the alerts that your monitoring systems have created. You can then mark them as acknowledged, assigned, close them, delete them, whatever is necessary. And the on-call section will show you whether you are a part of an ongoing support schedule, or simply allows you to display which team is on schedule and when. Another notable difference between JSM Cloud and Server is in the change management feature, which allows you to connect your IT service desk project to a CI/CD tool. Then you can use 2 new features called deployment tracking and deployment gating. The idea here is to improve change management in your company so that deployments are recorded as Jira issues and in turn are better traceable as a change ticket that's visible to the operations teams and linkable to a repository. Deployment tracking means that whenever a new deployment is created in, for example, Bitbucket or Jenkins, the new service desk ticket is created, which includes, for example, the environment where the deployment was initiated, such as production, staging, or testing. Deployment gating, which is available in JSM Premium only, means that when a deployment is initiated from the CI/CD tool, it needs to be approved in a Jira workflow first. So what this means is that the deployment ticket first needs to transition to a status like approved, for example, for the development to continue in the CI/CD tool. Effectively having the change approval board decide if the deployment is valid. The supported CI/CD tools that you can connect to are Bitbucket, Jenkins, Circle CI, and Octopus Deploy. As you know, Jira Service Desk has had its own automation engine. It was possible to transition tickets, alert users, or do other tasks this way. Atlassian acquired CodeBarrel, the developments of automation for Jira, and added the app to every cloud instance in March 2020. As this happened, the former automation engine in Jira Service Desk started to be deprecated in favor of the integrated automation for Jira engine. So what changed then was that the automations option isn't currently limited to Service Desk projects, as it was in the past, but you can still use this legacy automation. However, it is set to be phased out in the future, and the old rules that you created in Jira Service Desk in the past replaced with the new ones from the automation for Jira embedded add-on. Some of the upsides of this automation app integration are that, for example, you can perform automation across projects or across the whole Jira instance, integrate third-party tools like Twilio for SMS messages or Slack, and even operate across DevOps tools like Bitbucket or Jenkins. Watch for pull requests and similar events. Customers on free and standard Jira plans have access to 100 global rules and 500 multi-project rules per month, respectively. This number increases on Premium and on Enterprise. Another cloud feature is that it's possible to translate most of the Service Desk portal custom fields, the portal itself, workflows, notifications, and other objects to different languages. So this works by the means that the language that the portal is displayed in will be based on the language set by the user that is accessing the portal. This allows for having a multilingual service desk for customers speaking various languages. Also, how is it with Apps Genie, Help, and Insight being purchasable on a server or data center? Well, Apps Genie is necessary to purchase separately and connected to Jira Service Management Server or data center. On cloud, it's part of the Cloud JSM offering. Help is available both on cloud and on server. However, it's not available on data center yet. You can, however, use the server version of Help on data center for the moment. For Jira Cloud, it's free. Insight can be purchased on data center only. It cannot be purchased on server because as of February 2nd, 2021, when sales of all Atlassian produced apps stopped being available for server, you were only able to extend their maintenance. Insight isn't available on Cloud Standard either, where it's a part of the Cloud JSM Premium or JSM Enterprise offerings only. Okay, let's sum it up. The very first visible feature that has changed is the panel of the left side whenever you are browsing a JSM project. The buttons there rearrange the menus, queues, knowledge, channels, and people, each coupling several buttons. The queues section has grown significantly in projects using the ITSM template, as you not only have the regular queues menu, but also incidents, requests, problems, and changes sections under which you can put other queues. There's also the services section, under which you can record various services and link them either to Apps Genie responsible team, set a board of approvers, or point them to a repository from a version control system. Apps Genie allows you to create major incidents to which you can connect a responsible team, which will then be alerted, and all other issues can be connected to this object. You can receive and note alerts from important systems and also create an on-call schedule for the responsible teams. Finally, you can connect ITSM tickets to CI/CD repositories. What this means is that you can then track which changes recently made in the repository and could have caused the alert or incident that has happened. Or whenever a deployment is initiated, a change request connected to a service will be automatically created in Jira for approval. Okay, so before we move on, are there any questions regarding Jira Service Management's differences between cloud and server?
No questions, thank you.
Go ahead, Camille.
All right. So that's the last part. Let's move on to differences between the cloud deployments of JSM. Let's go over what JSM Cloud Premium brings first. One of the biggest advantages in Premium is that insights come bundled with the offering, and the number of global or multi-project automation roles becomes higher, up to 1,000. Apps Genie receives several improvements, mainly in the number of major incidents that can be raised, and automatic incident creation, the ability to create tickets via API, and the video communication tool called Incident Command Center. Along with this, there's reporting on alerts, major incidents, and a so-called heartbeat monitoring, which means that an application sends alerts to Apps Genie periodically to determine whether it is active. Same goes for services. You can set up notifications to the status of your services called service subscriptions and have reports on those services set. The Jira platform in general receives the option to use IP allow listing, which allows your users to log in only from a set of predefined IP addresses, effectively blocking everyone else. Along with this comes a sandbox instance and release tracks, which is an option to delay changes to the Jira platform until you can retrain or inform your users about the changes for up to 2 weeks. In the future, it's also said that Premium will have a data residency option. Enterprise is the final tier of the Atlassian cloud deployments. It offers an unlimited number of sites and an embedded data residency feature. It also allows its users to use SSO, single sign-on, from their favorite user provisioning tool, and it has a 99 to 95% uptime. Let's move on to the roadmaps for DC and cloud. We have picked the most relevant and interesting improvements that are planned for the 2 deployments. There are certainly more, and if you're interested in reading about all of them, you can go to www.atlassian.com/roadmap and choose either data center or cloud. So let's see what's in store for data center for the future. In the 3rd quarter, Atlassian announced that they will bring some improvements to the customer portal data center, including displaying of SLAs, the option to remove the search bar, and customize invitation emails sent to customers. Next, they will specialize in the integration of cloud and data center. The first point is in the form of secure network connectivity, which means that you can connect your DC instance to your cloud instance securely. The second point lies in ensuring that user data on on-premise deployments and cloud deployments are compatible. As for the future, and by the future we mean the 4th quarter, the year 2022 and later. So the first upcoming upgrade is in the realm of integration with other applications. There will be a possibility to connect other applications to the Atlassian stack using the OAuth 2.0 connector. You will also be able to deploy data center in containers on Kubernetes clusters. The official documentation will also be extended by a special cloud and the DC administration guide, which goal is to explain the best practices of working using both application deployments together, which will also be called a cross-deployment guide. The roadmap for cloud is somewhat more interesting, as there will be an upcoming integration on on-premise and cloud applications in the form of JSM Cloud and Confluence Data Center. This could mean that your DC knowledge base would be accessible from Jira Service Management Cloud's interface. This might be happening for various reasons, maybe because Confluence can store a lot of sensitive data for which the cloud might not be ready for yet, so Atlassian is bridging these two together. Another big thing is that Apps Genie's major incidents features will be integrated into JSM, questioning if Apps Genie will even be used in the future or if it simply will be a part of JSM in due time. A significant change planned on the 3rd quarter is that Confluence features will get integrated into JSM, which seems to mean that you won't need to use Confluence separately as a knowledge base, but create articles straight from and into Jira Service Management. If we go into a more general view of what's in the works for the cloud platform itself, then we can expect app data residency, the possibility to migrate Jira service management projects from data center using the migration assistant app, and also the option to connect multiple identity providers used to get users from on a single instance. Moving to Q4 and beyond. Atlassian recently acquired ThinkTilt, the maker of Proforma, a no-code/low-code forms builder for Jira. We can already see in Jira Work Management that they have integrated this app in the form of the Forms issue view. What happens next is that Proforma features will be integrated in Jira Service Management, meaning dynamic forms, validators, conditional logic in forms, and other features that will be expected to be rolled out in Q4 and beyond. The migration assistant is also expected to improve, enabling marketplace app and advanced roadmaps migration from a server and data center. Custom domains and URL are also in the works, which means that you wouldn't have to rely on a URL like, let's say, idelco.atlassian.net, but a custom one like idelco or jira.idelco.com. Lastly, Atlassian is working on ensuring compliance in various requested areas like the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, HIPAA, the Federal Risk and Authorization Management Program, FedRAMP, the moderate level, or the financial services compliance in Europe, Australia, and in the US. So now is the time for you. Do you have any questions or comments? Or if not, then what topic would you like to hear about in one of our next webinars? Please let us know in the chat. Okay, so if there aren't any questions, then thank you very much for listening to today's webinar. We are Kamil Ber and Manuel Patin from Idelco, and you have attended the Jira Service Management, a review webinar. We would like to ask for your feedback and criticism. What went well? What would you improve? And again, what topics would you like to hear about next? Or if you need any help with JSM, we can help just like we did our other customers. If you can, then contact me at the provided email with feedback, and I will get back to you soon. Have a good rest of the day.